How's it going, everyone? Nick from Comic Culture here. Time for Nick at Night, my weekly comic book review show. Let's get into the books I read this week. Starting over in Marvel, Ultimate Spider-Man issue number 12. Jonathan Hickman on this one, and it was a cool holiday special. I love the cover on here. Very nostalgic. Gets you in the mood for the seasons for sure. This is basically a holiday party thrown by the Parkers. We have a lot of Mary Jane's relatives coming in here. Lots of family drama in here that we unpack. Of course, we get our new dynamic duo on the reporting side. We get Jameson and we get Uncle Ben as well, and you know, they're in here trying to mingle with the family and just trying to like survive the holidays. Lots of baggage in Mary Jane's family we unpack inside of here. Very little about like the next step, where we're going to go throughout the most of the issue. This is again just like a talking head family drama kind of a thing during the holiday season. The very end of this, we're building very slowly toward this big shocking moment at the end, and there is a pretty awesome moment that happens on the last page turn that has me really excited to see where the story goes. The shoe didn't drop, but it's dropping. And man, I can't wait for this book to break our hearts because it's going to be kind of special, I think. So Ultimate Spider-Man issue number 12, really cool holiday issue with a great cliffhanger at the end. Let me know if you read it. Next up from Wong, we have Psylocke issue number 2. Another great read, I would say, from this. I've kind of gotten off the whole X-Men train right now. Psylocke is a really interesting character. She's going around the world saving children. So if you read issue number 1, she gets a tip. She's working with this really smart human that was kind of exiled. So he's teaming up with Psylocke to give her all these tips about where all these children might be. Now they're either being manipulated because they're mutants or they're being turned into mutants with this new AIM technology. That's a pretty cool concept, I think. It's like bringing out mutant abilities in humans. So that's a pretty cool angle. And of course, Psylocke is going around trying to like, you know, get rid of these injustices across the world. She's teaming up with some former allies, they're really shady people inside this issue to get to where she needs to go to like achieve that goal. You know what I mean? The art is really cool in this book. I like the display of powers and everything. And it's just kind of like a let's bust in, save the kids, and take care of the bad guys kind of a series so far. We'll see if it like builds into something more. But Psylocke issue number 2, pretty interesting read. Let me know if you read it. All right, let's go over to DC with Wonder Woman issue number 16, the Detective Chimp issue. Loved that aspect of this entire thing. Did not see it coming. I really like Detective Chimp's voice, especially written by Tom King in here. I don't have a lot of experience with the character, but he's just really fun. It's kind of like a Columbo kind of a vibe, right? Like he comes in, he's kind of a buffoon, tripping around, doesn't really quite make any sense, asks just enough right questions to kind of put you in a corner. And that's exactly what happens inside of this issue. He comes back over and over again, asking just the right questions and building the case out. And so we get to see what happens going forward. We get some Clark Kent action in here too, which I did not see coming from that reporter perspective. And we're seeing this like slow dissolve of this villain. You know, we took his money away. We took his resources away. Now we're going on social media. Now we're going to the press, things like that, and we're exposing all the deep, dark secrets. That's what's happening inside of here. It's a complete dismantle of this organization that he's built over the generations. So Wonder Woman issue number 16, continuing that slow dissolve of the villain, which I'm enjoying. We're going to see what happens in future issues. Let me know if you're reading it. Next up is a conclusion of Dark Knights of Steel All Winter. We have issue number 6 out right here. Now, again, I didn't read volume number 1. I jumped right into this one, and I love this whole entire series. It's just spectacular. I love the reimaginations of the characters as well. And with that comes some of the continuity battles that we've been having this whole time. So a lot of things feel really familiar, right? And so I love like the Bruce Wayne character inside of here coming and going, mixing up his powers, whatnot. Alec, the little child in here with like his connection to the green, which was the key to this whole thing, really well done. And that Mr. Freeze final boss at the end, his motivations and stuff were pretty cool. Epic final battle. Everyone comes back to the table for this fight. Really interesting. I like the way it played out. And I just like the atmosphere they created through this whole series. So I think they did a really good job. Volume 3 should be coming if you believe the ending of the story. I'm looking forward to that one now more than ever. But let me know if you read All Winter or Dark Knights of Steel Volume 1, especially if you read Volume 2. Should I go back and read it? Let me know down below. Next up is a highly anticipated New Gods issue number 1. Ram V and Evan Cagle on this one. I would bet that you were part of one of two camps. Somebody who's read New Gods in the past and has some idea of these characters and what has happened, or you've never read it before, you've heard of it, you wanted to get into it, and you don't know if this is a good place to jump in. So I will say that having some familiarity with these characters might help. If you don't know who Orion is, if you don't know who the High Father is, if you don't know who some of these people are, Mr. Miracle, you might lose some of the nuances with inside this book. With that that said, they will set you up for success if you haven't read those, right? You're going to go in, you're going to get an idea based on conversation and events, who these people are. So you won't be totally lost, but it might help. And it's Jack Kirby, so why wouldn't you go back? Darkseid is gone. What does that mean in the pantheon of the gods, right? He's a constant. Darkseid is. So what does that mean when he's gone? Are other people going to try to fill that void? We're trying to figure that out. There's a new prophecy explained inside this book as well. Orion has to try to figure all this out. He's needing some help from other gods and whatnot. It's a really interesting back against the wall type of situation. And I love all of those conversations they have around that dilemma. Really, really well done. Evan Cagle on the art was amazing. I liked him on Dawn Runner, but I liked him more inside of here. The situations and the paneling and the characters involved, he has that way of showing you that galactic landscape, but also brings you right into the living room of some of these characters, right? We get that Ultimate Spider-Man kind of a vibe. We feel like we're a part of the family. Really interesting perspective there. So I think he's doing a great job on the art. I think so far it's really good. We're one issue in, so we'll see how it plays out. This is built to be an ongoing. Ram had mentioned over at Pop Culture Philosophers, check that interview out. He's got a 3-year plan on this thing. So this is going to be an exceptional book. Highly recommend it. Let me know if you read it. Next up is John Constantine Hellblazer Dead America issue number 11, the conclusion of this epic run right here. I will say, I've lost a lot of the nuances along the way. It's a very complex story, I think. Essentially, it's a bunch of beings, angels, demons, gods, whatever they might be, manipulating the masses, right? Using some of the sand, Morpheus' sand, to manipulate the people. They have all these strict rules that they live by, and they enforce those rules on others. But what happens when you break your own rules involuntarily or unknowingly, perhaps, and someone calls your bluff, right? John is used to manipulating the scene, getting what he wants, getting the outcome that he's looking for while saving his own ass. That's what happens exactly inside of this book as well. I will say, if you watch the John Constantine movie with Keanu Reeves, there's a little bit of that inside of here, specifically related to the ending where John kind of becomes selfless and gives something up in order to save somebody else. And in turn, that saves him from his inevitability, right? In a way. So there's a little bit of that in here too. It's a really weird story. It's hard to unpack, I would say. Take your time going through this book. It's really dense. The volumes leading up to it are spectacular as well. I think way easier to follow than this one, but it would make an interesting reread to see if I can connect all the dots. Either way, it's a gorgeous book. The art in here is absolutely spectacular, so I highly recommend reading it from that perspective. Let me know if you did though, down below. Chris Samney on Batman Robin Year 1. We have issue number 3 here. Again, another spectacular read. It's another Batman book. I get it. We're saturated with it. We're going to have another one at least coming up here in the review. But this one has a wholesomeness to it that I absolutely love. It's a little bit of an older book, right? We have Dick Grayson. He's really young. He's just becoming Robin, understanding what that means. And so we're susceptible still to emotions and whatnot. You know what I mean? So when we're fighting people like Two-Face and he's talking about, him being a part of taking out the circus kids family, things like that, then there's a lot of emotions flying around. Batman's trying to teach him how to control all of that, but he's also super preoccupied with who's pulling the strings in Gotham right now, putting all these different families against each other. Great detective story mixed in with great action sequences that really keeps you engaged and really, switches things up quickly so you don't get complacent in any one of those aspects. So I really enjoyed this one. It's a really special story. Again, it's another Batman book, but it's really cool, and I like the way it's been put together. The art is spectacular. The writing is on point. So yeah, I'm just loving this one. Let me know if you're reading it down below. Next up is Absolute Batman issue number 3. I told you we weren't done with Batman. Here's issue number 3 of Absolute. And I will say there's lots of action in here. There's lots of cool moments with this bizarro Alfred trying to educate Batman on this whole Black Mask organization and how much control this organization has across the world. And it's going to take more than one person to take him down. There's a lot of ultimatums given in here. There's some deals rather that are being shared. And it's an interesting concept. And Batman's trying to contemplate which direction we're going to go. That's pretty cool. I like the usage of villains in here too. We take all the classic rogues gallery from Batman and we almost make them allies in this book. He's going out and playing poker with them, trying to pull information. He's going behind the scenes and working with Riddler and things like that, trying to get some answers to things. There's some cool things happening in that way. There's also this interesting thing happening in the GCPD where they're being manipulated by this person pulling all the strings, the Black Mask, right? Who is it? What's going on? That's pretty cool to see how that's playing out inside of the police system, right? So there's some cool stuff happening in there. Of course, it's completely action-packed. I mean, this creative team does that the best, past, right? So of course we see these over the top things that, we expect from a Batman book in general. But I will say, like, I'm still missing something in this book, some kind of excitement. I'm not entirely sure. Maybe it's the Batman oversaturation. Maybe it's like the portrayal of this absolute world so far. Not entirely sure. I'm going to keep reading it, obviously, but there's something missing. I can't quite put my finger on it. Let me know if you're reading it. Let me know if you're enjoying it down below. Next up is Tin Can Society. We have issue number 4. We're still trying to figure out who killed our essentially Iron Man character in this story. And we didn't really have a lot of motives just yet, but we uncover a secret truth that this character had. He was hiding away. One other person in the group was aware of it. And we get to this like retelling of this accidental murder that happened and how this person went above and beyond to like cover all of that up. But because of that accidental murder, that may have given someone the motivation and like the tools to carry out this assassination. Really, really well done. I loved how that story unfolded. And like the whole time I'm trying to figure out, okay, who actually did the deed? You know what I mean? Like I understand the situation, what's going on. He doesn't want to like admit that he killed somebody, whatever. But the ending of the story, the way that it like kind of reveals that villain at the end, I thought was so well done. And like this complacency or this like nonchalant reaction this character has to hearing this investigation is evolving, I thought it was handled really, really well. So this book continues to be really strong. Tin Can Society, issue number 4. Let me know if you read it. Next up is Stand Still, issue number 5. I feel like I missed an issue. I went back and looked at number 4 and I'm like, it was kind of a jump. Maybe I need to like reevaluate that again. But issue number 5 is out. It's a pretty cool story. This guy is essentially on a revenge mission. He uses the technology that one of his friends develops to like stop time, to like hunt down these people who have wronged his wife in the past or were like part of her murder or something like that. So he's a sadistic dude doing some pretty insane things. And this guy is trying to like go around trying to do this revenge mission essentially. And then we have our heroes that are trying to stop him, trying to mimic the technology they built initially without the same kind of resources. And they're trying to like get in his way. And they actually have this altercation, really cool conversation between the two of them. Like, you stay out of my way, I'll stay out of your way kind of a thing. And it leads us into a direction where like, okay, now what the heck do we actually do? Some foreshadowing things happen in here as well. So yeah, Stand Still is turning out to be a pretty interesting story from Lee Lowridge and team. Issue number 5 is out. Let me know if you're reading it. The Sacrificers, issue number 13. Pigeon, who's been imbued with the power of the gods, actually got sucked down essentially into like the hell, right? And so he's trying to figure out what's going on there. The machines of the world are down there, covered in lava, lots of gears, lots of like servants, all being pushed by like this god that's down there, just like cracking the whip and turning the gears, keeping the song alive to keep the machine of the world going. That's who Pigeon is up against inside of this issue. But unlike some of the other gods, they have a more rational conversation about like, what's the current state? Why are they doing the things they're doing? And if he truly believes that like we should be unified and share power to make this world work, maybe there's a different approach here. Maybe Pigeon doesn't have to take this guy out. Maybe he could become an ally and they can go forward towards the other gods. Really interesting ideas inside of here that break the mold we've seen Pigeon in the previous issues. The artwork again is spectacular like always inside of here. And so we get a great idea of like this underground world and everything, this world engine in a way, epic battles, things like that, great coloring and everything, great characterizations like always. So yeah, Sacrificers, man, issue number 13, still doing a hell of a job. One of the best books of the year. Let me know if you're reading it. Rockefellers, issue number 2. Peter Tomasi on this one. Another Ghost Machine book. Loved issue number 1. Issue number 2 is really cool too. It's kind of like Ultimate Spider-Man, where it's completely tied into like the holiday season. Our family here is going around picking out a Christmas tree, things like that. But they're having to deal with this like alien component. They go on a Christmas tree hunt. It's not successful, so like they build their own with using their technology. But this technology kind of has a mind of its own. It wants to like grow and plant its roots and become part of like the biosphere of this planet. And so we have to like get away from that, right? It turns into a giant monster in the house and everybody has to escape its clutches, right? But I will say like what makes this book special is like the way they approach all these things. It's really organic. Like there's lots of cool, interesting, real, easily connectable conversations happening inside of here, and things happen around that. You know what I mean? It's not like false conversations and false relationships and unlikely premise sneaks in there and everything is okay. It's like, no, these are actually things that are interesting, engaging, and they're cool and exciting, and they get you in that spirit, So I think that's what I'm enjoying the most from this book so far is the character connections and the relationships between them all. Again, it has a cool Christmas theme thrown into it as well, so I think they handled it well. Good spotlight on a villain too in here in the beginning and the end. Really interesting to see how that blossoms and where we go from there. Rockefellers issue number 2. Pretty good. Let me know if you read it. Joshua Williamson on G.I. Joe issue number 2. Another great read right here. I think I liked it more than issue number 1, to be honest with you, because we immediately pick up where we were pinned down, right? Cobra's coming in. They're trying to get the package that the Joes are trying to collect as well. And so kind of all hell breaks loose inside of here. And it's a big like survival issue from there. They're completely outgunned, outmanned. They have hardly any technology, and these guys have like advanced weaponry, and we're trying to get out of that. A lot of cool character moments too, like rising above, using that last bit of strength to like make a difference to save your team. And then we get like a little debrief in here too. Like Cobra has a plan. He has technology that he's aware of that Destro might not quite have a total grasp on just yet, but he has plans for the future for sure. We also have some of our Joes trying to lick our wounds right now. Some people are in really bad shape at the moment, and we have some new people joining the team right now, which of course is going to create some controversy, but we need some more people on this side, man, or else we're going to go down pretty quickly. So yeah, this issue starts off really strong. It gives us a lot of cool ideas about where it's going to go in the future, and yeah, very excited for the future of this one. Issue number 2 is out. What'd you guys think? Daniel Warren Johnson, Riley Rosmo, and Mike Spicer on the Moon is following us. We have issue number 4 out this week. I double dipped on this one, got the Riley A cover, and I got the Daniel Warren Johnson B cover as well, because why wouldn't you double dip on some crazy stuff like that? Again, it's another heartfelt story. We have a daughter that's locked in this dream state right now. The parents are doing whatever they can to relieve the daughter of whatever this is. We have a lot of cool characters that are familiar with this kind of affliction that are trying to help our couple out. We're in this fantasy dreamlike state, taking on impossible odds, gigantic snakes, helicopter escapes, things like that. Now we have a military presence and whatnot in this virtual like fantasy landscape. It's pretty cool to see like all that different stuff combined. But again, it's the character emotions, the situation, the story itself that really sell this book. Everything else is like icing on the cake, I would say. We're raising the stakes. We found a better way to like go into the matrix, so to speak. So yeah, I was really liking everything that I saw inside of this book. Again, we have a character we saw in issue number 1. We didn't quite know if we can trust that character, showing back up in here, showing us some pretty crazy stuff. And of course, we got some answers as to like who is actually pulling the strings behind the scenes, like and why, right? So there's some more things we have to unpack from that perspective, but it's slowly coming out. Really excited for this one. The Moon is following us, issue number 4. If you're not on this, get on it and then go back and read other things from Daniel Warren Johnson, because they are all worth it. Let me know if you are reading it though, down below. Next up is Savage Sword of Conan from Heroic Signature. We have Titan Comics on this one. Really cool book. I think Jason Aaron is doing the main story here. Again, it's about some like witches, right, in this area. There's a group, there's a coven that's going around right now, and they're being wiped out by this religious movement. And what we learn inside of there is the leader of this movement is actually a very powerful sorcerer that is like a Highlander of witches in a way, absorbing their powers to like do the will of God, right? So like that's where we are in here. So what happens when Conan has to team up with the only witch left to take on this powerful force? He has to tap into this kind of energy as well, unwillingly at first, to like overcome the odds, because you just can't beat this guy with brutal strength and like savagery on its own. So it was kind of cool to see Conan like open his mind a little bit, be receptive of other ideas, and do what needs to be done to save the day. We also talk about Conan's legacy inside of this book as well. Now, I'm not too familiar with like what his legacy is. Does he have children? What happens after he's done with this, like beyond King Conan kind of stuff? We get a little glimpse of that as well. I don't know if it's canon, maybe it is now, but it was kind of cool to see like his legacy move on and what that would look like inside of here. So that's what we get inside of Savage Conan this month. I'm eating up all of this stuff. Really good issue. What'd you guys think? IDW's got 2 books out this week that I picked up. TMNT issue number 5, Jason Aaron on this one. And I gotta say, like, I was expecting a lot more from this TMNT run, to be honest with you. Not really getting what I expected inside of here. The first 4 issues introducing each turtle individually, kind of showing us where they've been and how they're gonna get into the fray. That was interesting, right? Like, there's some moments of that. I liked like half of each issue from there. But what they don't really tell you, and they did tell you in the beginning, was like, this is a continuation of the Legacy run. It ended at 150. All that baggage is being pulled over into this new run. It's not new reader friendly, I wouldn't say, but they're doing a decent job at like telling you, hey, these are still the turtles. Casey Jones is still here. The world is screwed up. There's mutants everywhere. So like if you were coming from an old school TMNT perspective into this, expecting the same, it's not. You'll survive, but it's just not what you're going to expect. And maybe that's a problem. In this issue, we're focusing a lot on the mayor, like his rise of power, the alliances with evil people that he's made to get to his position, and like the, I don't know, the biases or whatever against the mutant kind that he has. Like, why is that the case? And then we get the introduction of Casey Jones in here too. I will say like that was okay. Like all those motives and everything are kind of like surface level, and we see that a lot nowadays, and I hate to read it in comics as well. Casey Jones doesn't do a whole lot inside this book except for like beat up a couple guys and then get his ass kicked a little bit later. He's in a pretty bad way towards the end of this. And I will also say like the art is not strong at all in here. We got blessed with 4 spectacular artists in the first 4 issues. And I forget if Derek Robertson's going to be doing the art going forward, but I'll be a little bit disappointing. It's fine. I don't want to criticize it, but at the same time, it's not what I wanted from the series. But yeah, so it's a combination of like, not enjoying the art style so far. I'm not enjoying the storytelling. It doesn't meet my expectations of a new TMNT run by Jason Aaron. It's not really meeting expectation, guys. What do you think? If you're reading it, let me know down below. Then we're going to wrap it up with Godzilla Monsterpiece Theater from Tom Scioli. This is issue number 2. This is just a fun book to read. We have so many cool, weird people inside of the story. First off, you got Godzilla. It's a period piece with Godzilla, Sherlock Holmes, The Great Gatsby, The Time Machinist, Jules Verne, like a cyborg Jules Verne as well. And then you have like The Great Gatsby's like ancillary cast as well, mixed with Tom Scioli's ability to give you a story that feels old, right? It feels retro. It jumps around haphazardly, but it makes sense. The artistic style is that of comics of decades ago, right? He's got that Kirby influence. He's got that influence that is very much lacking in today's modern books. The coloring, the characterizations, the conversations, the scale of this story in general is just so much fun. Situations that they're in, again, it's got this perfect blend of like modern storytelling techniques and everything and like technology, but it gives you that classic vibe that you would get if you read some of the older books, right? It doesn't bog down, keeps it nice and modern, but you still get the vibe. Again, crazy situations. Dracula's in here too. Like there's so many cool characters inside this book. So having a really, really good time with Godzilla Monsterpiece Theater. Let me know if you're reading it down below. All right, guys, that's all I can get my hands on this week. I hope you enjoyed that. Let me know what you read and what your favorite books of the week were down below. While you're down there, like, subscribe, share, hit that bell notification to be alerted whenever I put out new videos. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the comments.